KLM is the oldest airline on Earth. It's also one of the most esteemed, proving a vital way of connecting Europe to the world. For years, Boeing and Airbus have fought to sell KLM new planes. And so far, Boeing has absolutely dominated. Nearly all of KLM's fleet is American-made. So, when news broke that KLM wanted to upgrade its long-haul fleet, everyone expected them to purchase the 787. But last week, they made the stunning decision to order the rival A350 instead. So, why the hard pivot? Why is KLM building its future fleet around Airbus instead of Boeing? Let me explain. Now, before hopping into it, I'm approaching my 1-year anniversary of doing YouTube full-time. It's been an incredible ride. I've been able to travel the world, meet all sorts of cool people, and also elevate my content for all of you. But the whole thing has been way more stressful than I had ever imagined. Because I'm now my own boss, I feel like I am constantly working, which has completely messed up my work-life balance. Plus, having such an unpredictable and variable income has been daunting and honestly a little bit scary. That's why I'm pleased that BetterHelp is sponsoring today's video. BetterHelp is the world's leading online therapy service, boasting an extensive network of over 30,000 licensed therapists. They offer an affordable and accessible way to address a diverse range of personal challenges. All you gotta do to get started is just answer a few straightforward questions on their site, and in just a few moments, you'll be paired with an experienced therapist. And should you find that the therapist isn't quite the right fit, well, you can always switch to a new one at no additional cost. Therapy has been a huge asset to me in trying to navigate this new life stage, and if something's bothering you, well, you might benefit from therapy too. And if you visit betterhelp.com/explains, you're gonna get 10% off your first month of therapy. I'll make sure to leave that link right down in the description. So consider giving BetterHelp a shot. Doing so really helps to support my work, and it can also help to support your mental health too. First, let's briefly cover the history of KLM. In 2004, KLM merged with Air France, forming one of the world's largest airline groups. But unlike some other recent airline mergers, like United Continental and Delta Northwest, Air France and KLM have kept their brands separate. While the two share a board of directors who oversee things like strategic direction and financial management, their corporate identities, flight crews, and route networks all remain distinct. So too have their fleet of aircraft, which look nothing alike. Air France has leaned heavily towards Airbus, and KLM favors Boeing. Now, once an airline is entrenched in either the Boeing or Airbus ecosystem, it's very unlikely they'll leave. Staying loyal to one manufacturer has a number of benefits, like fleet commonality, easier maintenance, and influence over future aircraft design. So, when the world learned that Air France KLM was planning to upgrade their fleets, many thought they'd stay in their lanes. Air France would get Airbus jets, and KLM would get Boeings. Specifically, early rumors suggested that Air France would purchase the A350, while KLM would purchase the 787-10. So it caught just about everyone by surprise when the group announced their true intentions last week. They'll be purchasing up to 90 A350s, and those jets will be going to both Air France and KLM. This leaves Boeing and the 787-10 in the dust. So, what happened? What's behind this pivot to Airbus? Well, in a recent conversation with Bloomberg, Ben Smith, the CEO of Air France KLM Group, revealed 3 key motives behind the decision. First up is range. The A350 family can fly between 1,800 and 2,200 nautical miles further than the 787-10. This endurance is critical if KLM wants to keep flying to places like South America and South Africa, which can't be reached by the Boeing. The recent conflict in Ukraine has also played a role here. Ever since Russia invaded, its airspace has been closed to European carriers, including KLM. And since Russia sits smack dab between Europe and Asia, flights between the two regions have been disrupted. Any carrier who wants to fly these missions has to take absurdly long detours, none being more famous than Finnair's 14-hour polar route between Helsinki and Tokyo. Now, the straight line distance between, say, Amsterdam and Tokyo is only about 5,000 nautical miles, well within the range of the 787-10. But these new restrictions have added nearly 1,000 miles to the journey. If you factor in unfavorable weather and winds, you're quickly butting up against the limits of what the Dash 10 can do. So if these restrictions over Russian airspace persist, which it seems like they will, it's wiser for KLM to acquire the longer-range A350, which can reach the Far East no matter what the conditions. The second major factor that Smith points to is price. Pricing always plays a significant role when purchasing aircraft, and the A350 appears to be more price competitive than the Dash 10. According to Air Insight, the starting price for the A350-900 is about $20 million less than the 787-10. When you multiply this figure across 50 aircraft, those savings amount to $1 billion. If you also include the 40 options that Air France KLM have, those savings balloon to nearly $2 billion. Now, the caveat here is that airlines almost never pay full price for new planes, especially when buying in bulk. So these saving estimates probably aren't super accurate. But even so, insiders say that Airbus got super aggressive when it came to pricing on this deal, and the price was good enough to entice KLM to switch their allegiance. The third reason behind KLM's decision is availability. At the time the deal was struck, Airbus had fewer unfilled orders for the A350 than Boeing did for the 787. What's more, Airbus is currently building more A350s per month than Boeing is building 787s. The upshot is that KLM can get their hands on the Airbus quicker, with first delivery expected in 2026. Even if Boeing's backlog were the same size, or even smaller than Airbus's, there's no guarantee that KLM would have received new Dreamliners anytime soon. That's because in recent years, Boeing has really struggled to build 787s. The program has suffered a number of quality control issues, which at one point entirely froze 787 production. And while Boeing has worked diligently to rectify these issues, they aren't totally out of the woods yet. Only a few months ago, Boeing discovered a new production flaw that's further delayed delivery of roughly 100 new Dreamliners. Long story short, 787 customers still aren't totally sure of when they'll get their hands on new jets. And considering KLM wants to renew their fleet sooner rather than later, this almost certainly played a role. So those are the three primary reasons that KLM has pivoted to Airbus. And on the surface, this seems like nothing but bad news for Boeing. They've lost a major deal, and they've lost a major customer in the process. But if you look closely, there may be a silver lining here. You see, leadership at Air France KLM originally said that the A350-900, A350-1000, 787-10, and 777-9 would all be considered for their future fleet. Now that the dust has settled, we know the group is buying both types of A350 and has firmly passed on the 787-10. But what about the 777-9? Their reasons for buying the A350 are mainly a referendum on the 787-10, not the 777X. So could there still be a place in KLM's fleet for that big Boeing? Well, the more you think about it, the more sense it seems to make. After all, KLM was once a heavy user of the 747-400, and it's never fully regained its lost capacity. While the A350-1000 is certainly a large plane, the 777-9 is a closer one-to-one replacement for the 747, and the need for a plane of this size is only growing. Schiphol Airport, which is KLM's hub, is heavily slot restricted, and the Dutch government is actively trying to cap the total number of aircraft movements at the airport. aiming for 460,000 movements per year, down from the 500,000 that happened today. Now, this move has received a lot of pushback, but if it ends up going into effect, KLM may need even bigger planes to help keep capacity up while aircraft movements go down. So how can we actually figure out if the 777X is still in the cards for KLM? Well, the airline might give us a clue when they announce how their A350 order is being allocated. While we do know how many A350s the carrier is buying, we don't know how many of each variant they're taking, just that they plan to receive a mix of 900s and 1000s. If it turns out that the order is composed mostly of the smaller 900 variant, it may point to the airline's intent to buy the higher capacity 777-9 down the road. Conversely, if the allocation skews more towards the bigger 1000, it would reduce the need for this Boeing and diminish the chance of a future order. So, at the end of the day, we're all just gonna have to wait and see if Boeing ever gets another shot at taking a piece of the KLM pie. So, what do you guys think? Did Air France KLM make the right decision by buying all Airbus, or should they have ordered some Boeing jets too? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much to my patrons for helping to make this video possible. If you like what I do and want to help the channel grow, go ahead and check out this link right here. And as always, if you learned something new today, leave a like and subscribe to keep learning. And until I see you again, don't forget to look up.